Well, hello and welcome to my channel. This week I am sharing all things what I eat in a week. Hopefully you can get some inspiration of meals that you can make for yourself. And first up, I'm showing you how I make my peanut butter, chocolate, and banana oatmeal. Y'all, I feel like oatmeal gets a bad rap sometimes. I feel like it's so good. And when I was a kid, I used to eat it all the time. I think it depends on how you make it. You can't make it like too thick, but it can't be like too runny. It's one of those where it's like it shouldn't be complicated, but I think sometimes people may make it complicated. But I like to use like brown sugar, of course vanilla, in my oatmeal, and I have fun with the toppings. So I like to use the dairy-free chocolate chips, put a little peanut butter, and of course some sliced bananas. Y'all, this one was really good, and if you're a parent, I think that this would be great for your kids as well. Just look at the material. Come on. Now y'all, this roasted veggies and chickpeas and farro. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I tried to Google it to see how to pronounce it right, but y'all, they were leading me astray. Anyway, this was one of those meals where I was like, hey, like I got a bunch of vegetables. I got some good grains. I have some sweet potatoes, chickpeas, whatever, like let's just cook it all. So I ended up cooking the farro with some onion as well as some shallots. And so that's what you saw simmering. And then now I'm about to roast my sweet potatoes, my chickpeas, and some good old broccoli. Now, the chickpeas were like tossed in olive oil as well as a random seasoning that I had in my pantry. And then for everything else, I'm going to season that with some salt. I think I also did use some garlic powder. And then I made like this miso marinade where I think I just mixed together like miso paste, some Dijon mustard, some olive oil, and maybe like a little bit of vegetable broth, and it was so good. And I just roasted that in the oven. So while I was prepping everything else, I was just letting the farro simmer in like vegetable broth as well as the onions and the shallot that I told you guys about. And I seasoned it with like some salt, pepper, garlic powder, my go-tos, the usual, and just cooked that down until it was tender. I think I let it simmer maybe for like 15-20 minutes. But yeah, this was a dinner, very simple, easy, didn't require much, but it was so good. And the broccoli, y'all, that broccoli was crispy just like I like it. Y'all, in that miso marinade, if you have not used miso paste, please start using it and mix it with the vegetable broth, mix it with some Dijon mustard, like some garlic powder, like salt, pepper. Y'all, it caramelized everything to perfection. Now, this was a good old tofu scramble with some vegan sausage, some tomatoes, and avocado. And y'all have seen my videos, like I use just egg all of the time for like my morning scrambles, but I was out this day and I did have some tofu that I thawed out. Y'all know my method is to freeze it and then thaw it out. So I had some tofu that I thawed out and I was like, hey, what the heck, we about to make a tofu scramble. And although tofu scrambles are my second option, I really enjoy them. I think it's just key that you have to use the right seasonings. So I always use turmeric, I use garlic powder, onion powder, I use a little bit of salt, I use black pepper, as well as the black salt for the eggy flavor, and nutritional yeast. Can't forget about that. I've also actually added in like some vegan cheese to my tofu scrambles as well, because it makes the tofu kind of bind together a little bit more, which reminds me of like regular eggs with some cheese in it. And I don't think some of y'all know this, but I have not been vegan my entire life. I actually decided to go vegan I think like 3.5 years ago. So I still remember what non-vegan or non-plant-based food tastes like, which is why I'm able to compare it to kind of help you understand what you're gonna try. Now, will I say that this tastes just like eggs? No. But I think it's a great substitute. And once you add the black salt, which gives it the eggy flavor, oh my gosh, yeah, it's right up there. Now, this is like one of my go-to desserts, y'all. It's so simple. I actually think I saw it on like TikTok, maybe like a keto recipe or something, and I don't follow the keto diet at all, but this was a very quick and easy dessert that I was like, I'm not a baker, so I can get with this. And y'all, it's so simple. So it's just cut up strawberries that have a little bit of sweetener. I use whole earth sweetener, and you refrigerate it for maybe like 5 to 7 minutes. And then you take it out the refrigerator, you top it with some dairy-free whipped cream and some nuts. And y'all, like, I could eat this every other day if I wanted to, because it's that good. So this next dish is chickpea fritters. Y'all, when I was younger, my mom, she used to always make salmon croquettes. Now, this isn't like necessarily like salmon croquette vibe, but when I was cooking it, it definitely brought me back to my childhood. And, you know, just like eating with my family and eating those salmon croquettes, which were, it was a staple in our house. And so, of course, me being a plant-based vegan, I'm not really able to eat salmon. So what do? We kind of remix some of our childhood recipes, and I decided to use chickpeas in this one. Now listen, it does get a little messy around here, so either you can just jump right in and use your hands, or you can throw on some gloves to whip these bad boys up. But we're just going to put that in some panko crumbs, coat both sides, and then we're going to fry it lightly in some olive oil, grapeseed oil, vegetable oil, whatever you have. I prefer grapeseed oil, so use what's best for you. If you've ever tried chickpea tuna, this is essentially that. I don't know if you were picking up on it, but kind of like tuna cakes, I guess. That's what I was going for. And when you're frying these, make sure you're gentle. So you see how I like gently place them in the skillet, and I'm gently flipping them over because they do have a tendency, as you saw, they do have a tendency to kind of like break apart a little bit. So just make sure you're very gentle when you're doing this. And I top this with a mixture that's similar to like a dairy-free Thousand Island dressing, but this one had vegan mayo, ketchup, yellow mustard, and sweet relish. I guess pretty close. Now this recipe was for my stuffed bell peppers. Y'all, I think the very first time I had stuffed bell peppers was with my stepdad's aunt. She was from New Orleans. This was before I went vegan, but I just remember I feel like my life had been changed when I tried them because I had never had anything like it. And ever since then, I have been loving stuffed bell peppers. And now that I'm plant-based vegan, I found ways to recreate the dish in a way that I would enjoy. I do have the full recipe linked in the description box, but the base of these stuffed bell peppers, I use quinoa, I use a vegan meat substitute, yellow onion, I use fresh parsley, some tomatoes, vegetable broth, and a variety of seasonings, which again you can find in the recipe. Now, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I like to bake my bell peppers before I actually stuff them because it helps them become a bit more tender, and it doesn't take that long for them to cook in the oven once you stuff them with the filling. And so after I stuff them, I put them back in the oven for about 10 more minutes. And I like to top it with, so I have a cashew cream sauce that I'll link in the description box. And I also use a store-bought vegan queso. And those are my stuffed bell peppers. So by now you guys probably can tell that I love tofu and I use it pretty often. So I always start off by freezing and then completely thawing out my tofu, and then I drizzle some olive oil on it as well as like a liquid or coconut aminos. If you don't have either of those, then you can use soy sauce as well. We really just want like the flavors of that liquid to get up in the tofu, like on the inside. So this is a seasoning that I'm using. I think we found this at Walmart. I cannot remember exactly, but it is really good. Really good. So if you happen to come across it, grab this one too. And yes, new nail shawty. Y'all, I filmed this over like a month or so, and I change my nails all the time. Normally I would add cornstarch, but I didn't really need it this time. Like, it got crispy. Okay, and while that is cooking, I have some jasmine rice that I got from Trader Joe's. It was like packet rice that you can just throw in the microwave. I do this like whenever I just want something quick and easy. I don't really feel like waiting like 20-30 minutes for rice. This only takes 3 minutes, perfect in 3 minutes. So I made some last night. I'm gonna use it again today, but now we'll cook some veggies. You see, and if I don't do anything, I'm gonna make sure that my plate is colorful. Like, I just love when a plate has a variety of colors and ingredients, and it's not just like all one color. So I have my red bell pepper, I have some kale, as well as some onion and garlic that I am sauteing up for lunch. See, I told y'all it got crispy. I think my favorite part is like the very, very small pieces, because they just so crunchy. Y'all, so this meal is kind of just like a mix of just like stuff that I want to eat. Like, no rhyme or reason, it's just stuff that I want to eat. So as you saw, well, I told you guys about the rice. I have the tofu, the peppers, onions, and kale. And y'all, this sauce from Trader Joe's, everything. Like, I have to get it every single time I go to Trader Joe's. And I'm gonna add this to my bowl of food for today. So I'm excited. This sauce is so good, y'all. Y'all have to get it if y'all ever go to Trader Joe's. And if you've had it, let me know. Like, what do you like to put it on? Because I put it on everything. I just tried this tofu. It's so good, and I did that. Okay, enough of that. But y'all, it's so good, so good. Now, if you haven't had that onion salt from Trader Joe's, buy it the next time you stop by. It's so good. Okay, so we're about to try everything and gotta get a little bite of the tofu, the peppers, onions, and the rice. Oh, and you can't forget the sauce. Yes, 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 yes. All of it, all of the flavors. So, Y'all, it's really good. Lips a little dry, but it's really good. It's so good, y'all. That sauce, it has a kick. Make sure you're aware. It has a kick. It almost took me out. It almost took me out. So be careful. Not sure if you know, but this is a mushroom stan account, and so now for dinner I am making a creamy mushroom pasta. I have some sliced baby bella mushrooms, onion, garlic. I have some liquid aminos, and then this is my favorite type of pasta, y'all. It's cavatappi pasta. I feel like it really holds whatever like sauce you're putting on it really well. Let me put y'all up on something real quick. If a recipe ever calls for finely chopped onions and garlic, use a food processor. Now, we don't want to puree it, we just want this to be finely chopped. So you'll just pulse it a little bit. And so now that I've added the mushrooms, the onions, and the garlic, as well as the liquid aminos to the skillet, I'm gonna let that cook down and let the mushrooms sweat, because mushrooms contain a lot of water. I want these to kind of crisp up a little bit more. So I forgot to film myself adding in the oat milk, but for this recipe I ended up using like 2 cups, all in all, like 2 cups of plant milk. And so at this point, I was like, this is giving very much gravy vibes. So I was like, let's add a little razzle dazzle. So I added in some more salt, the pepper, nutritional yeast, and of course, more plant milk. Again, I use almond milk. I prefer almond or oat milk, unsweetened. Please make sure whenever you are cooking savory dishes that it is unsweetened original plant milk. But yeah, after I added all of that, I was like, okay, now we get into the creamy pasta. There we go. There we go. And I also sprinkled in some fresh parsley. But y'all, this pasta was so delicious. Had leftovers, of course, and I killed every bite. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out my previous videos. I will see you next Sunday at noon.